we are going into the NFC East breakdown. This division, I think, is full of a lot of great teams, a lot of great stories that happen in the offseason.
This isn't like satire. I think this, quite honestly, could be one of the better divisions in football.
I agree.
Think all of these teams got better or stayed as good as they were.
And we get to make fun of the Cowboys for everything they do.
Don't make fun of the Super Bowl.
I was going to say, as much as I want to make fun of the Cowboys, I can't do much.
To start, though, let's go the Eagles. I think the
Super Bowl
Eagles
champs.
I was talking to Jake. Jake's like, "What do you think about the Eagles?" I was like, "Jake, they literally have their whole. They team
lost
still.
nobody.
They lost Darius Slay and they lost. They
lost Milton Williams and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Yes, so they lost those guys.
To which they replaced.
They replaced immediately in the draft.
All of them.
The Eagles, to me, are the same team as last year.
Yeah.
And
a little bit worse of a pass rush, I will say that, on the edges. Because they traded, Bryce Huff, they traded to the 49ers.
Yeah, the Patriots got one of them,
Milton Williams, you guys signed Milton Williams. Yeah. And so that and Brandon Graham retired. So it's going to look different. But
they've been building.
Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean. You've still got Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. I mean,
they've been building that D-line the past couple years.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many people they lost. Yeah. It doesn't.
But the Eagles, to me, I think it's not crazy to say that they're going to win this division. It's not crazy to say they could be first in the NFC.
It's their division to lose.
I agree with that. Jalen Hurts is playing. You have Saquon healthy. If he can even do 50% of what he did last year, it's going to help that team in so many different ways. Your receiving core is really good.
Yep.
Dallas Goedert. Oh, is it? No. Yeah. It's Dallas Goedert. It came back.
Decent tight end. Yeah.
Where for a long time he
thought he was going
to get traded. He didn't. So that team
obviously have Saquon. Jalen Hurts. The tush push didn't get banned. So it's
everything is going good for Eagles.
And life's great.
It sucks because I think Philly fans are so annoying, and I think everyone can back me up on that if you're not a Philly fan.
Yeah.
But the Eagles, to me, they're just.
So you think they could repeat?
I think they could seriously repeat. They have their quarterback. They have their running back. They have their whole core of O-line. They have really good receivers. Their defense, like we mentioned, their linebackers are great. Their D-line is they have a lot of depth.
Yeah, they re-signed Zach Bond, what's the Defensive Player of the Year candidate, massive. And so this kind of went unlooked a little bit, but they have gone out and got some guys that have already played on teams in the division. So Adoree Jackson they went and signed for the secondary, which probably going to be like a rotational piece, or he could be starting opposite Quinyon Mitchell because Cooper DeJean normally plays in the slot. But they went out and got Azeez Ojulari, who's another pass rusher who played with the Giants. And then I honestly like A.J. Dillon as a backup running back. Imagine
the tush push is crazy with A.J. Dillon.
Imagine having to tackle Jalen Hurts, then Saquon Barkley, and then you wrap it up with A.J. Dillon, probably the biggest legs in the entire league.
Tush push going to go crazy next year with A.J. Dillon.
Yeah, they know exactly what the fuck they were doing with those. But I mean, it happens every year. The Eagles are one of the best drafting teams in the league, and they did it again.
Yeah.
They just wait for players to fall to them. Like they took the Alabama linebacker Jihad Campbell, they took at 32. I don't think anybody thought he was going to be there still. People had him projected top 10 in some drafts.
Saw that one live too, and there was a lot of people where we were all looking
we were
at each
there.
other
We were like, fuck.
How did that just happen again?
What the hell?
Yeah.
And then later, it was either the second or third round, they took the Texas safety to replace Gardner Johnson. Andrew Makuba, great. And then a Georgia linebacker, which, you know what they love.
Can't go wrong with Georgia linebackers.
No, Smell Munden, another just fast linebacker, sideline to sideline. But looking at their schedule a little bit, I know we've kind of been talking about like their floor and their ceiling. Really think anything less than 11 games is disappointing for this team. They have a tough schedule, don't get me wrong, especially early, but I think 11 wins is like the least they win.
Yeah, I think they probably win more than 11.
Pull up their schedule and look their first like 6 games.
They probably do really good in the division as well.
Look at their first 6 games. So we all know they kick off the season against Dallas at home. But then they have the Super Bowl rematch the week after in Kansas City. And then they have to play Los Angeles at home. Then they go to Tampa Bay. And then they host Denver the week after.
Yeah, it gets a little bit easier after that.
Yeah. New York twice in 3 weeks. You get Minnesota.
Got Buffalo, Washington at the end of the year. So that Buffalo game could have some implications to it.
Play Cincinnati late, too. Who knows what the Bengals are going to be back at that point. So I still think I'm saying 11 wins though, because the team is just so damn good. They didn't lose anybody. As long as they stay healthy, that's one of the best rosters in the league.
I think if
maybe the best.
Yeah, you have a healthy Saquon and Jalen Hurts. I think that team is,
their ceiling is like 13 or 14 wins again, I think, which is good for the 1 or 2 seed.
Yeah. Eagles, they're going to be back.
They're one of the teams to beat.
As annoying as they are with their fan base,
yeah, it's crazy.
They're going to be back.
It's crazy.
They reloaded very well. Next team, the team we all love to make fun of.
But I will say, it's like, I mentioned it last night. I don't think that there's much that we can make fun of for this offseason. They actually, I will give them, outside of like George Pickens is a wild card, I'm giving them a round of applause.
Let's not forget that their head coach.
That's true. See, it's like there's a lot of question marks, but I like the personnel decisions they made. Maybe not like, yeah, they went and hired in-house and didn't get a guy. Like, I think they didn't even try to hire any of the other
loving their
top
DC
coaching candidates.
though. Like their defense coordinator.
That's why I added it. So, new defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, Matt Eberflus.
Nice.
Hey, you watch. He's going to have such a good year.
Job, Jerry
He's going to get
Jones.
another head coaching job next year.
We play. I don't think anybody's going to touch him with a 50-foot pole after what happened in Detroit.
Be surprised.
But I will give him credit. He's got a decent bend, don't break defense. It doesn't always, perform when you don't have the pieces for it. But ironically, we do play Dallas week 3. In Chicago.
That's funny.
So that's going to be great. But, I mean, let's just move to...
Could you imagine the chants that are going to be going on in that stadium?
Oh, my God.
Dylan, what are they going to be chanting?
Time out! That's what it's going to be. But no, traded for George Pickens. I think him and CeeDee Lamb are nasty together. That's scary.
Yeah, my only thing, I brought this up when we first talked about it. To me, they're very similar in how they play.
I think CeeDee's going to be a slot.
Yeah, and that's what you brought up, and I hear you on that because he had to play a ton last year all over the field.
Yeah,
I just still think their main positions are outside, so it's going to be very interesting to see.
It will be
kind of how they do that and how CeeDee Lamb is kind of notorious for complaining when he doesn't get the ball. We saw what he did with George Pickens, or what George Pickens did in Pittsburgh when he didn't get the ball.
And now they're together.
Competing. So that could just be a dumpster fire waiting to happen. True. So that will be a cool storyline to follow as the season goes on, especially for fantasy purposes.
I think it's not a stretch to say that Dallas might be like the boomer bust team for the NFL this year.
Yeah.
Like, it can go either way, and it's both extremes. It can either be great or fucking terrible, and it's no in between. But they made some other trades, like Kyer Elam for the Bills is kind of like underwhelming corner, but I mean they already have Trayvon Diggs, so I mean they also have Deron Bland, so I mean this guy having him as a backup I don't think is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Traded for Kenneth Murray too.
You never have too many corners.
They went and got 3 running backs. I mean, they signed Miles Sanders, and I like Javonte Williams. Yeah. Another year away from his torn ACL, hopefully get some speed back. Dante Fowler is another good veteran linebacker. Then Jack Sanborn, I added his name because he was a Bear for a while. I think he just came off his rookie contract. Just be ready for him. He didn't get any playing time, or not a lot of playing time because of the linebackers we have, but he's a dog. And then I like their draft too.
They didn't typically do what they do in the draft, where it seems like
they stuck to the books.
They drafted a line, they drafted
the
defense,
Alabama guard. Great pick. Yeah. I mean, this is the Donovan Ezraki's the Boston College pass rusher, right? Another one. And they lost some pass rushers in free agency. So, and then Siobhan Revel Jr. ran like a 4.2. And he's a corner.
And so then the running back out of
the Texas running back.
The blue. So, know, he played for a really good team in college. You never know what he'll bring to already, I think, a pretty loaded running back room. So he might not even make the team.
I will say, though, it's
looking at that.
Like, discussing their floor and their ceiling, I'm looking at their schedule again, and it's like, man, I want to say that Dallas did a good job and they'll be competitive, but fuck, this is a tough schedule.
It's going to be boom or bust, like you said.
It is.
It's either going to go really, really good, and all of a sudden we're going to look at them and go, oh, they're got 9-10 wins, or they're going to have 4 wins.
So they have, through week 11, they have the potential to have 6 wins. But after week 11, Philly, Kansas City, Detroit, Minnesota, Chargers, Commanders, Giants.
Wow. They could lose almost all those.
That's tough.
They could lose 5 of those.
That's really tough to end the season. So It's because I'm paying attention to this. I'm kind of working through the division rankings in my head, and it's kind of like, as much as we say this division really is like going to be competitive and fun, I feel like there's only one way it falls. Like in the rankings, it's like there's very clearly a best team, second best team, third, but onto the worst team with the hardest schedule in the league, who made a lot of changes, I think, but the Giants.
Yeah, the Giants fall. I'll stay true to my argument that I have with all teams. The Giants fall into the category of I have no clue what they're going to get from quarterback.
Yeah.
And to me, if you don't have a good quarterback in this league, if you don't know what you're going to get consistently week in and week out, you are just not going to be a good, consistent football team.
Yep.
And until they have a quarterback that comes out and, is able to do that for them, I just don't, even with...
I'm rooting for Jackson Dart.
I am too. And I don't even know how much time he's going to get.
That's
because
true. Well, they've got the hardest schedule.
They're going to play Russell Wilson 100%.
Why would you throw him out against the schedule?
And then Jameis Winston is notorious for coming in and winning a couple games just out of the blue. So if he does that, and then Jackson Dart gets the last 4 or 5 games of the season, if that.
I don't know how a team that finished last in their division has this schedule. That is like, to pull this up and just take a look at it. It's bad. But signing Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston both seems very weird. I don't know why. I would assume one of them gets traded somewhere. But they signed Paulson Adebo, who's a Saints corner. Really good slot guy. So they've made some moves, and they signed Javon Holland, who, Chris, you're familiar with from the Dolphins.
Safety.
Safety. He's a stud.
Yeah, he just dealt with some injuries in Miami.
Yeah, he did. But when he's healthy, one of the best. And, I mean, I like their draft. Like, again, they got Abdul Carter fell to them. Yeah. Incredible. Their pass rush is going to be one of the best in the league.
Yeah.
But, again, I don't think it matters. Like,
I don't think it's going to
matter. I don't think it matters. They may be fun to watch, and, they'll put up some points, but I just don't think they're going to win many games. And it's it sucks to say because I feel like the roster overall doesn't look that bad. I'm scrolling through. It's really not that bad. They could use maybe another safety.
It all comes back to me, the quarterback position. Yeah. If you don't have consistency at that position, I don't care what type of pass rush you have. Exactly. I don't care what type of running backs you have.
That's why I think Jackson Dart needs, I do believe in him. And I know that Daboll's a good coach as well, a good quarterback guy. But
what about that running back, though?
They took Scatabo. They took the Minnesota safety as well. Mubin, whatever it is. Dog. And so they've got a lot of talent on the roster. But it's just their schedule, dude. They open up at Washington, then they go to Dallas, then they have Kansas City, then the Chargers, and then they get a freebie with the Saints, and then the Eagles, the Broncos, the Eagles again, the 49ers, the Bears, the Packers, Detroit.
Yeah,
dude, where do you see wins there? Outside of 1 or 2 games.
If you don't have consistent quarterback play.
It's not good. And so they're probably looking forward to next year. I think this is probably similar to what you were kind of looking at with the Patriots last year. Show me some improvement. Show me some potential for the years following that, give me a reason to tune in. Give me a reason.
So if they underperform, like we might say, are they firing their coach?
That's
you kind of have to,
the
right?
Thing is
or is he going to be able to finagle another? No, hold on.
Now that because they have Dart, but it's just this is the issue with not syncing up your rookie quarterbacks with your coach's contracts because you have shit like this that unravels every time. The Bears were notorious for doing it over and over and over again until we finally learned. So maybe this is the Giants' opportunity, but they've already.
Well, even that you guys kind of didn't learn because
not really.
Now it's
not
a
really.
little bit
right.
weird. So
still haven't figured it quite out.
Yeah, that is a good point though. I don't know what you do if they have another season where they only win 4 games. You fire him or do you give him another shot?
He made the playoffs the first year.
What would you do?
I would give him another shot just because I know the type of play caller he is. But it's just, I feel like the schedule has to play into it. It's you cannot, as an owner or a GM, there's no way in hell that you look at the schedule and think to yourself, oh yeah, we can pump out 7 or 8 games.
Especially in the division you're in too. On top of that,
no.
Where even if you run the gauntlet and win your out of division games. you've got to play the Eagles twice. You got to play. Say what you want about the Cowboys. You got to play the Cowboys.
And maybe
and now you got to play Washington twice too. And we saw
another good team.
And that's the last one we're gonna talk about here in a sec.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't see it. And if I were them, I would probably keep the coach for another year.
I think you should.
I think you have to, especially if Dart comes in and plays the last 4 games of the season and looks good.
That's a good question. Like, realistically, when does Dart play during this season?
It's when the season's over and Russell Wilson, isn't performing or isn't doing, what they want him to do. And then it's okay, throw him out there. It's our rookie quarterback. We need to see what we got. So we can maybe make a decision if we need to fire our coach or if we need to keep him.
Yeah, but what happens? Like what happens when you open
Penix, up? When he came out and had those great 4 games at the end of the year,
it
could be very similar. Maybe it saved the coach.
Yeah,
they gave him hope for this season.
It could be Same thing could happen. Very
but what happens when they open up the season at Washington and then at Dallas and lose both games by 40?
Then Dart's starting.
Then Dart's going to start game 3.
It's a game 3 starter.
Starting versus Kansas City on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
I love it.
We've discovered the blueprint.
Yeah.
We know the script.
We know the script.
Last team though, I think this team
the most interesting team to talk about.
because I still don't think you know what the hell you're going to get with them being second year, having film on their quarterback, the Commanders.
They made a lot of moves.
They did. They traded for Debo, which I think was great. A great, regardless of what you say about Debo, you have to worry about him no matter where he is on the field.
Yeah.
He's great in space, like you said. Screen game will be very good for, I think, a team that ran a lot of screens with the running backs they had already.
With McLaurin too. Yeah.
So now you add him into the mix. They re-signed Zach Ertz, which I think was huge because he wanted to be there. We saw that at the end of the year last year with some of his press conferences. Yep. So that was cool for him.
Re-signed Bobby Wagner too, massive for the defense.
Yes.
I know he's not the player he once was, but he's still a leader.
Yes.
Still a great linebacker. So yeah, they've made a lot. And Laramie Tunsil, left tackle for the Texans, which had a down year last year. But if he can get back to somewhat of the form he was 2 years ago, the Commanders look really good, dude. I know their center got hurt late, and that really screwed them over in the playoffs. Biadaz or something like that. But they drafted a tackle. They got the Oregon tackle at 29, who I think a lot of people also thought had top 15 pick potential. And then a cornerback, which I think most would say the secondary was probably one of their weaker points, the Ole Miss guy, Trey Amos. So I think it obviously quarterback league, it rides a lot on the quarterback, but this is a really good roster.
Well, do you think we're going to see a sophomore slump with Daniels, or are we going to see
I think he's too
a carbon copy of what we saw last year?
I don't maybe not exactly the same, but I would have a very hard time believing that he has a slump of any kind, really, because they kept the core, they kept everything, and they've got some fun games. That's the one thing about Washington now is they're going to be every game you're going to want to watch. And they've got some matchups that when they play Kansas City on Monday Night Football, it's going to be awesome. I know they play the Bears Monday Night Football too, 2 weeks before that. They've got some fun games. Playing the Broncos right after Thanksgiving, Sunday Night Football. They're going to be a team that I'm paying attention to all year, I think.
Well, you were very high on them last year to where I still thought they were way too young to make it. I kind of ate my words a little bit, making it all the way to the NFC Championship game. I didn't think they were going to be. So you add some more veteran guys. You add an experienced Jaden Daniels. This team.
Some more VR training?
I think,
as well.
This team, I think, gives the biggest threat to the Eagles, hands down.
Absolutely. And I don't. Realistically, they play Philly in Week 18, and it's a flex game. So both of now that I'm looking at this, they play Philadelphia Week 16 and 18, and both of them are TBD.
Man,
so the league thinks that this division is coming down to them in the last week of the season, and maybe Philadelphia has an 11-win season where they lose some games they shouldn't. AJ Brown loses his book. Finishes his book and runs out of stuff to calm him down.
To read,
but maybe they're going to Philadelphia.
Send AJ Brown one of my books?
We know a book AJ Brown.
AJ Brown needs a copy of Expectations, baby.
Damn right.
I want to sell 1 million copies in one day.
But I think I see them finishing very close to Philly. I think it's a toss-up between the two for winning the division, with Philly having a slight edge. But on to the NFC East questions.
Yeah, so who wins the division? I think we're both in agreement.
Philly.
That probably Philly.
Yeah.
I think how many teams are going to make this playoff? I would probably say 2.
2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Probably 2.
Probably leaning more towards 2 just because I think the NFC is a little bit better when it comes to talent from top to bottom.
Absolutely.
Final standings, I'll go Eagles. I'll go Eagles and Commanders making the playoffs.
Yep.
Like you kind of mentioned, that last stretch of the season will be a lot of fun to watch. Where we get I mean, for all we know, they could play each other 2 times at the regular season, and then all of a sudden they're playing each other in the playoffs.
Yep.
Depending on how the seeding is for the 3rd time in the span of 2 months.
What happened last year?
Yeah. So that'd be interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say the Cowboys finished 3rd.
Yep.
I don't think they have a very good season. I think they blow it up at the end of the year. For me, I hope they do.
That's an interesting question. Is like you committed to a coach, and this I bring this up a lot. It's like it can't be both people's fault once you commit to one. You've already committed to Dak, but at this point, you've more recently committed to Schottenheimer. So I think someone gets the axe if they end.
Something's got to give.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe Jerry gets the axe. Maybe Jerry gives the axe to himself.
I don't think so.
You don't think he'd be that self-aware?
I think he's gonna die in that Cowboys chair before he ever admits to him being wrong in any decision.
Do you think he'll host a tour of his deathbed before he leaves? Like he'll have one last group of Cowboys fans tapping on the glass saying bye to him?
I don't know.
They're going to bury him under that star.
Yeah, in the middle of the field.
They're going to.
They're going to spread his ashes.
That's funny. That's funny. But yeah, no, I like I said, I think the Eagles, Commanders,
Cowboys,
Giants.
I think we're in agreement.
Giants are too tough a schedule for so many unknowns.
It doesn't matter.
And the Commanders and the Eagles are just sitting at top going, what's going to be, like you said, the NFL is already assuming that it's going to be between those 2 teams.
I think it's got a good chance.
Which will be good for us. I'm completely fine with it.
Oh, yeah.
Watching those 2 teams have to play each other it sucks like what happened last year where some of the AFC stuff was already set towards week 17, week 18, and none of the teams were having to play starters or those games didn't matter.
No, it's fine.
It mattered for my team too because we lost out on the first overall pick because of the Bills not being able to play for anything. So I like how they're trying their hardest to set it up for these week 17, week 18 games to actually mean something.
Chicago and Detroit are week 18 too, TBD.
Yes.
So goes to show you what they think of Chicago.
Yes.
I don't know, man.
And we'll get it. We got plenty of time to talk about the Bears.
We got like a
when
month.
Their division comes around.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that will wrap it up.